Hello and welcome. My name is Shagahad and this is Dark Souls Remastered. I wanted to take a minute or two in the beginning of this just to go over a little bit of what to expect from this playthrough. So we're gonna go through the entire game, doing all of the bosses and a lot of the storylines, quest lines in the game. Not all of them, but most of them. The most important ones, I think, at least. This playthrough is gonna be focused on the story and the lore in the game. I'm gonna talk quite a lot about the lore and the story, and also some kind of useless trivia about like some cut content from the game, and some little trivia stuff from the development of the game and whatnot. This is not gonna be like any challenge at all in the game. Like I'm not restricting myself in any way, and it's not meant to be a challenge playthrough at all. So we don't have any restrictions like that. We kind of have to not have if we want to do as much of the game as we want to. I am not gonna go through everything though. I'm not gonna pick up every little piece of like equipment and drops and whatnot. We want to try to make this playthrough be kind of a brisk lore playthrough and not just stop at every corner to talk about everything. So with that said, let's just get started, shall we?
In the age of ancients, the world was unformed, shrouded by fog. A land of grey crags, arch trees, and everlasting dragons. But then there was fire, and with fire came disparity. Heat and cold, life and death, and of course, light and dark. Then from the dark they came and found the souls of lords within the flame. Nito, the first of the dead. The Witch of Izalith and her daughters of Chaos. Gwyn, the Lord of Sunlight, and his faithful knights. And the furtive pygmy, so easily forgotten. With the strength of lords, they challenged the dragons. Gwyn's mighty gods peeled apart their stone skins. Witches weaved great firestorms. Nito unleashed a miasma of death and disease. The scales betrayed his own, and the dragons were no more. But soon the flames will fade, and only dark will remain. Even now, there are only embers, and man sees not light, but only endless nights. And amongst the living are seen carriers of the accursed dark side. Yes, indeed. The dark sign brands the undead. And in this land, the undead are corralled and led to the north. Where they are locked away to await the end of the world. This is your fate.
So the entire world was just dark, filled with just fog and the everlasting dragons. The dragons, they had their scales of immortality, which was supposedly to keep them alive, and also they also had a crystal that would kind of do the same thing, but all of a sudden there was some type of like Big Bang type thing happening that we don't really know a whole lot about, but just all of a sudden in a world full of just dark, there was fire all of a sudden. And when the fire appeared, then from the dark they came, being the pygmies that came towards the fire. They were drawn to the fire. We have no idea where they came from and how they appeared, because like what we know is that the world was just full of dark and just full of like the only thing that lived was dragons. That's kind of what they say in the cutscene. But from the dark, the pygmies came, and they found the souls of the lords, and that's kind of how the gods came to be in this world, and that's when the gods banded together with an albino dragon called Seath the Scaleless, who was born without any scales of immortality. So he betrayed his own because he was an outcast amongst the dragons, and he was just different and like unwanted. So he betrayed his own with taking away their crystal that helped them stay alive. And the gods banded together, and they defeated the dragons. And that's when the Age of Fire began. So what we're in right now is the Age of Fire. And what was before this was the Age of Dark. The Age of Fire is the Age of the Gods. And the gods in this game is like creatures that are present in the real world. They're not just like beings that we don't really know anything about. Like you could physically go and talk to the gods and whatnot. And that kind of leads us to where we are right now. We're in the Undead Asylum in Lordran. We're specifically in the northern Undead Asylum. We don't really know for sure if there are more Undead Asylums, but it kind of doesn't really matter too much. But the undead are corralled and led to these asylums to await the end of the world, because these undead, they have hollowed, and there's no life in them anymore. They are kind of zombies in a way, but they just kind of repeat the cycle of living all the time, because an undead cannot die. The only way that they can quote-unquote die is by hollowing, and that is when they lose their last bit of humanity, and they lose their control over anything. When they've hollowed, they have lost everything. They don't have any will or any thought, really. They're just there. And so the one of the churches are actually in charge of corralling the undead to these asylums to hide them away from the rest of the world, because they don't like the undead. The player character that we play as is an undead as well as almost all characters that we will meet in the game, because Lordran is kind of the land of the undead. There are other countries, so to speak, outside of Lordran where people are not undead, and we will also see some. We will also get some confirmation that you can actually go hollow, like you can choose to, no, not hollow, you can go undead. You can choose to become an undead from being a human. And in the Undead Asylum, we are given a key from a knight that dropped the corpse from the ceiling. The significance of him dropping a corpse in there, I'm not really sure why it's on a corpse, but the only thing that I can think of really is that every single world item, as in an item that is spawned as you enter one of the maps, they are all inside of something. Like there's never any loose items unless you have gotten a drop from something. Then you can have a drop being outside of a corpse, or like it's not contained inside of a chest or anything. And that's kind of the only real reason that I can think of why they would have it in a corpse. But I feel like it's very insignificant as well. Okay, so our task is to, of course, try to get away from this asylum, because we don't want to be cooped up in here. And if we look up into the window over the door, we can see the first danger that we face. Currently, we don't have a weapon. We have a broken sword that's not gonna do us any good. But we can see that there's a very big monster up there who's not nice. Luckily, we know that we can just run away from him and We'll come back to you when we have a weapon. In just a little bit. If you don't want to wait until you have a weapon, though, you can instead start with the Black Firebomb, for example, as a starting gift, and just use those to throw at the boss, and you can dispose of him that way. And if you do that, you will get the demon's great hammer. Sadly, not a weapon that you'll be able to use in quite a while, but if you want to do that, you can. Changes up the start of the game a little bit, because instead of the boss dropping the key to the asylum, you will instead get the key from Oscar, because you still have to go talk to Oscar to get out of here. We'll meet up with Oscar in just a second here. I'm gonna drop a little bit of armor so that we can move quicker. Now we are just above where we were just now. On the floor there are develop messages that are just the kind of tutorial, the way that they decided to do the tutorial for these games. And in here we have Oscar, who saved us from our cell.
Oh, you. You're no hollow. Thank goodness. I'm done for, I'm afraid. I'll die soon, then lose my sanity. I wish to ask something of you. You and I, we're both undead. Hear me out, will you? Regrettably, I have failed in my mission. But perhaps you can keep the torch lit. There is an old saying in my family. Thou who art undead art chosen. And thine exodus from the Undead Asylum maketh pilgrimage to the land of ancient lords. When thou ringeth the bell of awakening, the fate of the undead thou shalt know. Well, now you know. And I can die with hope in my heart. Oh, one more thing. Here, take this. An Estus flask. An undead favorite. Oh, and this. Now I must bid farewell. I would hate to harm you after death. So go now, and thank you.
And as we leave Oscar, we can actually hear that he passes away. So Oscar gave us the most important item in the game, pretty much, the Estus flask, and the Estus flasks are linked to the Fire Keepers. The Dark Tales also make reference. An emerald flask from the Keeper's soul. She lives to protect the flame and dies to protect it further. So the Estus is basically fire that keeps well, it's an undead favorite that like renews them or replenish their life. Oscar in there, he's not called Oscar in the game actually, but in the game files he's referred to as Oscar. He has a pretty extensive storyline that was cut from him, where he was kind of the antagonist of the player character throughout the entire game, where you would bump into him throughout the game quite a bit, and whatever choices you made, he kind of always wanted to do the opposite. So I think I think if his storyline as intended from the beginning would have been present in the game still, then he would have actually been the very last boss that you fight in the game, no matter what you choose to do in the end of it. But that is cut, and Oscar is no longer that present in the game. He's still, I mean, he's still undoubtedly the most important character in the entire story, because without him we would have never gotten out of our cell. Oscar talks about him failing in his mission because they have the prophecy that the chosen undead is supposed to escape from the asylum and make the pilgrimage, and the pilgrimage is to ring the bell of awakening, and kind of after that you are supposed to find out what the rest of the pilgrimage has in store for you. But Oscar was not able to do that himself, so he took it upon himself to try to rescue other undead and set them on the path that he failed to complete himself. Taking on that new mission and freeing undead to make the pilgrimage that Oscar himself was not able to do. He completed his quest. He completed helping us to get out of there, and that means that he is gonna lose his the last bit of humanity, because when an undead loses its will to go on, the will to live, or like when they don't have a clear purpose in life anymore, then that is when they lose their last bit of humanity and they go hollow, like these undead have gone before, these just hollows here. So later on in the game we will meet up with the husk of Oscar, what is left of him. But that is kind of how it works. The only way that an undead can go hollow is when they lose their will to live, either because they can't complete it, or because they have completed their mission and they have nothing to live for anymore. But we are apparently the chosen undead, and we're supposed to go on this pilgrimage, and after the bell of awakening is rung, we will hopefully find out what to do next. Okay. We're coming up to the first boss fight. This is a tutorial boss. I have decided for this playthrough to not talk really at all during boss fights for a couple of reasons, but it's gonna be easier for me to edit, for one, because I don't want to make you guys sit through all of the runbacks and deaths to bosses and whatnot, unless they're particularly interesting or funny. But also to set the tone of bosses. And I mean, as most of you probably already know, that some bosses are very trivial and whatnot. But I feel like it's a better way to take in the game, to not have just talking all of the time. So what I'm gonna try to do instead is to discuss the bosses a little bit beforehand, but because this is the tutorial boss, there's really not much to it. Like, this is the test that we have to complete to be able to get out of the asylum, really. The interesting thing about this, though, is that when we get through this fog wall, then we will get to a ledge, and if we stay on the ledge for too long, the Asylum Demon will hop up and hit us and destroy the little ledge that we're standing on. But the interesting thing is that there's actually Well, I mean, for one, you can do a normal plunging attack, but if you also do a jumping, like if you do a forward R2 attack, so that you do a jumping attack and also plunging, then you will get some extra damage. But there's one thing that I only learned very recently, and that is that there's actually 3 ledges in there. There's one on each side as well that you can reach. And, well, I mean, you can plunge attack from those 2, but you can also be hit by the boss from there. So that is what I wanted to just talk a little bit about, because I want to show that off. And there we go, the Asylum Demon is dead, and we got the big Pilgrim's Key. And that is the key that is gonna take us out of here. But this chosen undead knows not what this pilgrimage has in store. We really do not know. No. I mean, of course we do, but we're not supposed to at this point. So, getting out of the asylum, we can fairly early on see that we're kind of not meant to be able to get out of here, because there's no roads. It ends here, unless there is something on the other side of the asylum that we cannot see. But there's really no visual road or anything that leads to this place. You can see just a bunch of mountains and trees around. There's really nothing. Luckily for us, there's one way of getting out of here.
Only in the ancient legends it is stated that one day an undead shall be chosen. To leave the Undead Asylum in pilgrimage to the land of the ancient lords. Lordran.
I still find it very interesting that this tree is not in the cutscene, but it appears as soon as you're out of the cutscene.
Well, what do we have here? You must be a new arrival. Let me guess, fate of the undead, right? Well, you're not the first, but there's no salvation here. You'd have done better to rot in the Undead Asylum. But too late now. Well, since you're here, let me help you out. There are, actually, 2 bells of awakening. One's up above in the Undead Church, The other is far, far below, in the ruins at the base of Blight Town. Ring them both, and something happened. Brilliant, right? Not much to go on. But I have a feeling that won't stop you. So, off you go. It is why you came, isn't it? To this accursed land of the undead?
It is interesting that the crestfallen warrior here knows about the pilgrimage, but and knows about the prophecy, but he also knows that the prophecy is wrong and says that there's actually 2 bells of awakening, and he gives us a little bit of a hint of where to go, but he also says that ring them both and something happens. So he has no idea what's gonna happen, or he's keeping it from us. It kind of sounds like he could be keeping it from us, but from what he told us, he doesn't know what's gonna happen when the bells are rung either.
Ah, your face. You're practically hollow. But who knows? Going hollow could solve quite a bit. What? Restoring your humanity? Well, there are a few ways to go about it. Collect it bit by bit from corpses. Or you can butter up a cleric and get yourself summoned. And the quickest way, although I'd never do it, is to kill a healthy undead and pillage its humanity. Coveting thy neighbor is only human, after all.
Let's talk a little bit about the humanity that we find in the world, and there is the hard humanity, as we call it, this type of humanity that you can use as an item. But there is also what we call soft humanity, which is the counter up in the upper left corner of the screen. And he says that you can collect it bit by bit from undead, and I think that's a reference to kind of a hidden system in the game, whereas where if you kill a certain type of enemy in an area, you kind of accumulate points, so to speak, and when you've killed enough of them, you actually gain a soft humanity, and that's something that happens, but most people don't really think about it. But you can actually see that see when it happens, but it's kind of so subtle that most people don't even notice it when it happens. But I think that's what he is referencing to. And of course you can find the hard humanity on people as well, the undead. Coming into this area, this chest over here is where your game important items would end up if you accidentally or on purpose left them somewhere and you lost them. So like stuff that you would actually need to be able to complete the game, like for example, if you put your key to the seal, the seal key or whatever it's called, on the ground, and you quit out, then it would reappear in this chest so that you can continue moving on. Underneath this place here is the way to the Kiln of the First Flame, and the Kiln of the First Flame is basically where Gwyn went, and he rekindled the first flame to prolong the Age of Fire. And early on in the development of this game, behind this statue was actually the way down to the kiln. And this statue was meant to be pushed aside by Andre of Astora. And Andre had a much more significant role in the game than he has right now. in early development, because he was supposed to be the Gwyn's first son. But they removed that storyline completely, and Andre is now only a blacksmith. That's all he is to the lore. I mean, gameplay wise, he is one of the most important characters in the game, because playing through the game without upgrading anything is that's tough.
Hello there. I believe we are not acquainted. I am Petrus of Thoroland. Have you business with us? If not, I prefer to keep a distance, if possible.
So Petrus is a cleric, and the clerics are the people that hunt the undead and corral them to the north, to the Undead Asylum.
Hello there. I realize that I have requested that we retain our distance, but I also want you to know that it is not meant in ill will. Here, take this, as a token of peace. No, go ahead. It's for you.
So Petrus is not an undead. He is a cleric after all, and I don't think clerics can be undead, because they kind of hate undead. He gives us a copper coin. His face shows Old Man MacLoif, god of medicine and drink. Even coins of great value in the world of men have little value in Lordran, where the accepted currency is souls. Those who dream of returning to the outside world are fond of carrying these around. And the last sentence there being kind of the important bit of that symbolism that he actually gave that to us, because does that coin mean that he is that he has those coins because he really just want to get out of Lordran and back to Thoroland? I'm assuming, because that's where he kind of comes from. Or does it mean that he is giving away his coins because he has no hope of returning to Thoroland? That we don't know, but his attitude towards us has to do with the fact that we're undead. Petrus has a cut story to him as well. I mean, he has a story now as well, but in early development, you were supposed to meet him first time when you come down to Pinwheel, where Pinwheel had captured Petrus and supposedly started doing experiments or whatever the heck Pinwheel is doing down there. And from there you would save him, and after that you would meet Petrus up here. But they changed that, and now Petrus is just here. And he is waiting for Rhea of Thoroland. Rhea is gonna come here and go on a pilgrimage as a cleric to find the Rite of Kindling, which ironically is that is gonna be found with Pinwheel. But we're gonna talk more about Rhea and all of that in the or later on. So this is a lift. I kind of missed the dialogue, but the crestfallen warrior, he will tell us that the lift up into the Burg is broken. But we can plop down here, and you'll find a bunch of chests. So all of these chests, they are they contain like stuff like the Lloyd's Talisman, which is a cleric item. Homeward Bone, which is kind of useless. Well, not useless, it's useful to pretty much everyone. A Morning Star and a Talisman, also cleric items. Supposedly these all belong to Petrus. Is kind of what the... I mean, we can't say that for sure. I'm trying to make the distinguish between stuff that we actually know and can pretty much say for certain that it is a fact, and stuff that is facts. But that this stuff is all Petrus's is kind of just what we assume, because they are so close, and there's a bunch of cleric items, and over here we have also the cracked Red Eye Orbs, which kind of shows what type of person that Petrus really is, because the cracked Red Eye Orb: invade another world. Defeat the master of the world you have invaded to acquire humanity. The cracked Red Eye Orb allows players to temporarily imitate this ability, normally limited to the dark wraiths of Kath. And that's the first mention of Kath in the game, and we will get to more about Kath later on, and the first mention of dark wraiths too. I think I haven't really been able to find a whole lot of information about this, but I know for sure that I heard or read somewhere that the very first name of this game when they started developing it was Dark Wraith and not Dark Souls. Probably because they wanted to distinguish it more from Demon Souls, I guess. But I think that was a working title for the project in the very beginning of development. I can't say that for sure because I haven't found a whole lot of information about it, but I know that I've heard that somewhere. Alright, so what I want to do now is I want to go and pick up a few things on in the graveyard over there, and that the fiery sound there was the indication that the enemies were far enough away that I could actually sit at it. But yeah, so what I am gonna try to do is pick up some items that I would want down here, and then use the homeward bone to get back to the bonfire again, because we want to pick up. We got the winged spear. We got the Spyhanda. And we got the binoculars. There we go. That was just a very close to me getting hit by him. But those are the kind of items that I would have want to get from there. It's not very important lore-wise or anything, but the binoculars is gonna be very helpful for me when just looking at stuff more closely and whatnot. And the weapons are not really important either. Like they don't really have any information to us that's gonna be particularly interesting. Down here we have Anastasia. Anastasia is the we can talk to her. I mean we can talk to her a little bit, but she doesn't speak. She doesn't have a tongue. Anastasia is the fire keeper of this place. So the bonfire up here is being maintained by Anastasia. If Anastasia was not there, then this bonfire would not work at all. We can also go down. We can go down here and do a little bit of stuff in the new Londo ruins, but I don't really feel like it's very important at this point. There is a blacksmith down there too that we're probably not really gonna talk to at all throughout the playthrough, because he's just not very interesting. He's just a blacksmith from Thoroland, which is kind of interesting that oh no, not Thoroland, from Vinheim. Vinheim is kind of where the mage's school is. Also the sorcery school, I guess. So it's kind of interesting that there's a blacksmith from there, but apart from that, there's not really too much interesting. I think we may go down there at some point. Anyway, the crestfallen warrior, he was talking about he was talking about the bells of awakening being in the Undead Burg and the base of Blighttown. So Blighttown is down there. We're gonna see this kind of structure when we go down to Blighttown as well, and we also see this big ass tree here. That's called an arch tree, and we're gonna go inside of that later on. That is the Great Hollow, and at the base of that tree, we're gonna enter it and go down even further. And once we're down there, we're gonna see what all of those big ass trees are all about. There are a few items left in this graveyard as well, but I think there's just a soul and the Caduceus shield. So for now, we are all done in this area, and we can start moving up into the Undead Burg. And I like to keep my humanity on my second thing here, just for emergency healing if I need to, or if I wanna reverse the hollowing. Go human again. Drop something there. One of the things that may be a bit different in this playthrough and what a lot of other people would do with this is that I've always been of the opinion that a really great game should be able to speak for itself, and Dark Souls 1 is a superb game, and I don't feel the need to fill every single second of gameplay with me talking about just nonsense. So it's kind of when I don't feel like I have anything that is important enough to talk about, I am just gonna let the game speak for itself. We are gonna take a look at that ring though. It was a ring of sacrifice. This mystical ring was created in a sacrificial rite of Velka, the goddess of sin. Its wearer will lose nothing upon death, but the ring itself breaks. So that is a good way of keeping your humanity and souls if you think that you might die. We got a hard humanity from this rat over here. The rats having humanity on them, probably because they feed off of corpses and they gain a bit of humanity from there. But from the ring, that we could get the first mention of Velka. Velka is a very important character, of course. She's the goddess of sin, and she's the one that judges if a sin has been committed, apparently. And we kind of don't know exactly what that entails. Like, she's the goddess of sin, but what we don't have a lot of information of what she would consider a sin and what would happen to the sinners. As you could see here, I actually accidentally died up here, like a ding dong. I will cut all of those stupid deaths out and try to make it as fluent as possible. But yeah, I'm gonna die stupidly in this game for sure. I have played the game enough times that I kind of shouldn't die stupidly, but sometimes it just happens. I wanna kind of blame it all on just being extra scattered minded because I'm trying to record a video and trying to be somewhat entertaining and whatnot while also playing, but yeah, I can't blame it all on that. Here you can see the little ambush we have. We could already see it from upstairs actually. And here is way more obvious what's going on, and we can come here and ruin the day for two of them at least, for these guys here. And we find some rubbish. Very useful item there. I would, I'm definitely gonna say that the Undead Burg, as I'm not sure what I got a souls from there, but I think that happened last time I played here too. Maybe this, well, I mean, it was probably an enemy that walked off somewhere and died, but yeah, I'm not sure what that is. The same thing actually happens in the Great Hollow, but we're gonna talk about that when we get to it. What was I saying? Oh yeah, I was talking about the Undead Burg. The Undead Burg is one of my favorite like starting areas of any game. Like I think it's the level design of it is so fantastic, and I kind of wouldn't mind having an entire game just like this. And I call it a starting area because like we're out of the tutorial and this is kind of where we're supposed to go. And from the level of detail in this place, you can kind of see that it's the starting area, because that's it's kind of the From Software way of, well, at least Hidetaka Miyazaki way of doing games, because the first levels of his game seems to be just so super intricate and like really good level design. This was not the first level that they created for the game, but I feel like they kind of always put more love into the first bit of the game just to suck people into it. Like this one and like the first level of Bloodborne, first level of Dark Souls 3, like they are all just super good. Get the first look of that Hellkite Drake. We're gonna see more of him later on as well. He looks so good in the remastered. I think the remastered it was really nice for this game. I really enjoy it. Some people say that they still prefer the original Dark Souls with the DS fix, but I cannot agree with that. Some visuals may be better with just the normal Dark Souls and the DS fix, but overall I choose the remastered any day. We can see down here an area where we're gonna go a bit later on. where the stairs there eventually lead up into this room over there, where we will get a shortcut. Dang it! Sometimes you can get both him and the bookcase in one swoop, but I was a little bit too far away. Here we have our first merchant. Absolutely love his voice acting.
Well now, you seem to have your wits about you, hmm? Then you are a welcome customer. I trade for souls. Everything's for sale.
There are two undead merchants in the Burg, and their voice acting, both of them are some of my favorites. Like these two and like two others are really really good. Like for Lautrec and for whatever he's called. Never mind. So annoying when you can't think of a name that you should know. Anyway, he sells some good stuff. Some repair powder, throwing knife, firebomb, Loy's talisman, dried finger. Dried finger is just if you wanna be invaded more. It's not gonna be interesting for me. Orange guidance, soapstone. You can write messages for other people to read. I am playing offline, so I'm not gonna get any player messages or invasions at all. We have the residence key. Opens residences in the Undead Burg, and simple, sturdy design of the locks in the Burg keep out unwanted visitors. But this is a standard key in these parts, and will open several residences. That's very inconvenient. And we have the repair box, and we have the bottomless box. The repair box will allow you to repair your armor and weapon at the bonfire, which could be good, but repairing overall is not really something that I find myself doing at all, really, unless I have a weapon that has like a special attack that takes off durability, like the Drake sword, for example. Bottomless box will just allow you to store stuff in the bonfire instead of having everything on your person, which could be really handy if you hate going through all of your stuff in your inventory. Not something that I've really ever used, but for some people it would be good, especially if you do multiple playthroughs of the game. Then you may end up with the same like weapon over and over, and same armor and whatnot. These are just kind of some standard weapons, but the thing that stands out here for me personally is the reinforced club being one of my favorite weapons in the game. Has some arrows, and this is the one out of 2 places where you can actually get the chain set. The chain set can only be bought from this merchant, or you can farm it from an enemy in the DLC area.
Things are getting treacherous in these parts. A horrible goat demon has moved in below, and up above there's that humongous drake and a bull demon too. If you stick around this place, it might end up being your grave.
Giving a little bit of foreshadowing to the bosses that we can encounter in this area, and also giving notice to the humongous drake.
Here, I'm not here to chit-chat. We talk business, or we talk nothing at all. Here, I'm not here. We talk...
So, if...
Thank you kindly.
if you were to kill this guy, you could actually get the Uchigatana, which is a really, really nice weapon, and it seems to be a favorite for a lot of people in this game overall. And killing him is kind of super easy too, and you can do that without upgrading anything, without any big problems. He is talking about, we will see this later, probably, if I remember to go back to him, but he mentioned someone named Yulia, and Yulia, we don't know what Yulia is. Some people will say that it's the bucket that he's petting, that it's maybe an invisible pet that he has in the bucket that may be invisible or just living in his damaged mind, or a lot of people think that the Yulia is the Uchigatana as well. We don't know for sure, so you're free to believe whatever you want there. I don't really. I don't know. I feel like I don't really have much of an opinion there. I think I lean towards more that it's some type of creature that is kind of just living in his mind, because when you start fighting him, he calls for Yulia and for Yulia to help. So it's kind of like a guard dog that is not there, because if the guard dog was actually there and invisible, then they would attack us, but they don't. That's kind of my reasoning, but people have their own interpretations of that, and we kind of don't know. So the Reinforced Club is well, like I said, it's one of my favorite weapons in the game. I think it's really nice to use, because the normal R2 on this is the forward like jump attack, and it works really well. The downside of this weapon being, of course, that it's very short, so the reach you have is kind of minimal, and you don't have much of a swing on it. Like you don't have any sweeping motions with it. It's really good against like single enemies, not so good if you want to take out more in one fell swoop. And also hitting and missing kind of leaves you open more than most other weapons do. They kind of have the little stagger that the halberd weapons are kind of famous for doing. And yeah, that kind of just leaves you open more than with a standard sword, for example. But the plus side of it is that I really like the moveset, and it scales really well with strength, and it also has a bleed buildup that is not super useful in this game, but there is some bleed to it. Light crossbow we find there that we'll never use. The Reinforced Club is not gonna be the weapon that we go through the game with. The way that I usually like doing a playthrough of this game is to choose a weapon that I want to use and kind of build my character around it. And I very much prefer using weapons that I can find early on, so that I can use it as much as possible throughout the playthrough. Which is probably one of the big reasons why I really like this weapon as well, because you can get it very early on. But it's not the weapon that we're gonna end up using. The weapon that I'm going for is the Balder Side Sword, which is an excellent weapon that I've actually never done a playthrough with. So it's a weapon that a lot of people use, so it's probably not going to be very special to most people, but to me, it's going to be a little bit of a new thing, I guess. And a little bit more interesting than just using what I'm used to, I guess. So with this little bonfire here, we could level up. We actually need 1 intelligence eventually, so I'm just gonna plonk that in right away, and we're gonna go for some vitality as well. I'm gonna upgrade quite a lot in vitality and endurance, because I like having stamina and health, and because we're not doing any challenge or anything, we're just here to make this easy on ourselves. And yeah, that is where we're gonna cut this off for this episode. I really hope you enjoy it, and we'll see you all next time. Thank you guys so much for watching.